In this video, we're going to continue with our form. So we've done this in part one. But in this video, we're going to look at how can we make sure that somebody's entered any information into the form. And secondly, is it the right kind of information? So in their name field, I'll just bring up this. Let me save that. In the name field, what if they just put like a bunch of numbers? Well, that's not a name. We need to be able to test for that. So to do that, we're going to use regular expressions. Oops. Regular expressions. So what these do, and I'll maybe just head over to W3 schools here again. Okay, here we go. So if you just Google W3 schools regular expressions, you'll find this page on their website, and it talks about that the inputs into fields need to follow a certain type of pattern. So, for example, like if we think logically again through this, if they're entering their name, it has to be a mix of upper and lowercase letters. So you can reference this page if you want to go a little bit different or deeper into what are regular expressions. I'm just going to use some of those predetermined patterns in this example so you can see how to use them. Okay, regular expressions, and we want to see also if the field is empty. So we'll actually start with that second part. So we're going to say if, and so remember our syntax for an if statement looks like that, where between the two parentheses you're putting what is the thing you're checking, if something is something. So between those parentheses, and then between the curly brackets goes, this is what happens if that's true. So in this case, I want to check to see if my variable name, because we've pulled the information out of that name form and stuck it into the variable name, if name is equal to, remember when we're checking to see if two things are equal, we use two equal signs. One equals is used for assigning something. So here we're assigning this to the variable. Here we're checking to see if that variable is something. So if it is empty, so just an empty string, we're checking it against an empty string. So if the name has nothing in it, then between these two parentheses, then we do something. So if you remember, in our form, we've got this class AJAX response. So I'm actually going to make one more variable that's a pointer to that particular field or that div, and then we can use it a little bit easier down the road. So I'm going to make a variable up here called response, and it's going to equal a pointer to that div. So it is, now be careful here, dot, because it was a class. AJAX dash response. I'm just going to go back and double check that that is what in fact it was called. Yeah. And then a semicolon at the end of the line. I'm not doing a dot val there because it's I'm just pointing to that div. So now I can just say response each time instead of $, blah, blah, blah. So in this if statement, I'm going to say response dot HTML, bracket, bracket, semicolon. So we are using the HTML method. This allows us to change the HTML. This is a jQuery method. Change the HTML of that field. So I probably want to say something like, please enter your name and try again. Okay, so please enter your name and try again. Now that's only going to show if name is empty. Okay, so let's give that a shot. So I'm going to save that. So I'll just refresh the page here. If I leave it empty and just right away hit send message, I get an error here. Please enter your name and try again. And it's in red because that particular field just has an inline style that has its color to red. You could do that with up in your style block or whatever as well. Okay, so that's our first error check. Have they put something in it? Now we could get fancy and like do another like an AJAX effect, like fade in, like slow. So then when we check it and I don't do anything, it kind of fades in. So I do need to add the hide in there so that it hides the field first and then fades it in. And you could do slow or a number there. And I've just chained them together on one line. So if you want to get fancy, you can do that. One other thing you might think about doing is also putting the focus back onto that particular field. So like when I click in here, notice how there's that blue highlight around it? That's the focus. So what I could do when I'm giving my my error message here is I could put that focus back on that field. So I could say form underscore name dot focus bracket bracket semicolon. So in this way, if I click the message, it highlights that in, but then it also puts that blue outline up there. So it's just a good visual clue to our users that that's where they need to put their attention. Okay, sweet. Now you can imagine we would want to do the same thing with email and message as well. So I'm just going to take that whole chunk, copy it, paste, paste. This one I want to check email and the other one message. So I can just go ahead and do that, email, message. And then all I have to do is update the message. Please enter your email and try again. Oops. And we want to focus that on form underscore email. And then message, please enter a message and try again. And this is form underscore MSG. Okay, so then to test this part of our form, I hit it first. It says, so if I put stuff in at whatever and here, then I get please enter your name. If I leave this one blank, it says enter your email. And if I leave this one blank, it says please enter your message. Now why it was showing message when I didn't have anything is all three of these were true. So the program ran through this so fast, typed this, replaced it with this, replaced it with this. So I didn't see, I only saw the last message in the row of if statements, which is what I could expect from that.